So for today's tutorial, we are going to be digitizing our paper patterns into a digital pattern that you will then be able to print off on your own. So first things first, I took a picture of my garments on a poster board. I used a poster board that was 22 by 28. And I use poster boards because it is easier to set those dimensions in your Inkscape software. Inkscape is a free vector editing software comparable to Illustrator and GIMP. So I use that to create my digitized pattern. I use Inkscape because it's free and it has some very powerful tools that I can use to digitize my photos. So this picture that you see, I actually taped down my pattern to the poster board so that it wouldn't roll up anywhere or have any weird shadows or anything like that, so that everything is just flat. I took this picture with my poster board on the floor. You can also choose to hang it up on a wall so that you can get a good 90-degree angle on your picture. I also drew a 1 inch by 1 inch box in the corner of my poster board so that when I put it into my software, I can make sure that the fit is correct. There's also black registration marks in the corner, but you can't see those because I cropped it on my phone before I uploaded it to Google Drive to put into my computer. Um, so you will need this photo. And in order to make sure that it fits on the artboard and that it is the correct size, you want to take the dimensions of your poster board and you want to use that for your page on Inkscape. So to set those document properties, you will go to File, and then at the bottom here, Document Properties. And then we are going to change this area right here. So we're going to change this to inches, and then we're going to set our page. So I took the picture on the long edge, so I'm going to put 28 in the width and 22 inches in our height. I am going to change my display units over here to inches so that it changes it up here in the software. I'm going to change my page color to white, and all I did was select this little page button right there, and we're going to change that to white, and then I'm going to turn off the checkerboard effect so that we just have a nice clean white background on our page. So this is our page, and now we are going to take this photo that we took and we are going to put it into the software. So you're just going to open up your folder and you can just drag that in there, or you can go to File, Import, and then you can select your your folder and then your photo, and it will bring it into the software. So now, as y'all can see, when my photo came in, it is way bigger than that white box that you see around it. That is our document page. So the first thing that I want to do is rotate this 90 degrees. So we're just going to go up here to this little thing right here, object rotate 90 degrees, and we're going to do that. So that brings us to the right orientation. So now to shrink this photo down to fit our document, we are going to click on the photo, and from one of the edges, so you can do either one, whichever one you want, on those diagonal axes, you're going to hit Control and you are just going to drag that smaller. And you can then drag it back over your document and further adjust it. So now that we're about the size, I'm just going to snap that to that edge, and then we're going to snap that one to that edge. And so now you see we have our photo to the same size as our document. Now, to check this, I did two things before I took my picture. This center back edge right here, I measured that, and that equals 7 inches exactly. And then, of course, we have our 1 inch by 1 inch box. But as you can see, mine is a little messed up. So we're going to use that measurement as well to make sure that everything is the right size. So um, next, we are going to go over here to our rectangle tool, and we're just going to create a small rectangle that is 1 inch by 1 inch. So we drew that with the rectangle tool, and then we're going to go up here to our arrow, and we're going to change the width to 1 inch and change the height to 1 inch. And then now we can take this box and we can drag it over our 1 inch by 1 inch box and make sure that the size is the same. So if I zoom in, you will see that that box fits directly inside of the 1 inch by 1 inch box that I drew. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that all of this stuff is on different layers so that you're not moving your photo around or your little box right here. We want to make sure that everything stays in the same spot. So we can go up here to layer and then layers and objects, and that will open that over here in this right hand box. And we can just change the name of this first layer to photo. Let's go exit group because it acts crazy sometimes. Rename layer, and we can change that to photo, and that is our photo layer. All right, so now we want to click this little add layer button, and we want to add one above the current layer, and we want to call that our drawing, if I can spell that right, drawing. All right, add. And so now we can lock the photo layer and we can do all of our tracing of the pattern on our document layer. So if you want to further check to make sure that this is the correct size, I just went over here to this pen tool, and that's really what we're going to be using to create this tracing. We're going to be using the pen tool and this node tool up here to create our curves and edit any points that we need to. So to make sure that our pattern is the right size, we can just click here and then drag down with our pen tool and click that other edge right here, and then just hit enter to finish that line. So now that we have that line in, we can then check the length of this line. So as you can see, the height is 6.991. We can change that to 7 inches just so that we can check it. So 7 inches even, and as y'all can see, it hits exactly both edges of that pattern. So that lets me know that my pattern is sized correctly. So we can go ahead and start our tracing. So I'm just going to zoom in, and we're going to go again to our pen tool, and I'm going to start right here on this straight edge. I just zoomed in so that I could see that point good. We're going to click to create our first line, and if you don't like where that line is placed, you can just hit the backspace button and it will get rid of that point and you can start over. So we're just going to select that point, and we're going to zoom out so that we can drag our point down and select our next point. And then we're just going to go trace all the way around this pattern. So next point here, and I am going to mark this point right here because there's a slight curve above this line that I want to make sure I include. And we're going to go all the way back up here to that point. Now, when I do points that have curves, um, I just I'm just gonna go across with a straight line because then we can use our node tool to get that perfectly aligned. So that is our shape that we just drew, and as y'all can see, there's no curve right here. So first thing that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn down this opacity just a little bit in the fill and stroke menu, just so that I can see the pattern up under it. Um, and so now we're going to go to our node tool, and that's right up under our arrow selector tool. And you can just hit in to select that as well. And we're going to click that first point, well, that curve, and I'm just clicking right in the middle. It doesn't really matter where you click it because you're gonna just drag it. So I double clicked on that and I'm just dragging that to where I need it to be, and I can see my pattern under there because I turned that opacity down. And so we're just outlining that curve. I'm trying to get it as close as possible. You might have to just move both of your control handles for your curve, which is these little things, and you'll get those once you move a straight line to a curve. So for example, this line has just a slight curve right there, and as you can see, it's snapped right to that point. I'm going to zoom in. That is actually perfect. And that is our center front of our trace pattern. So we're just going to go back to our pen tool and we are going to go all the way around every last one of these patterns and trace them out. Okay. If you need to, zoom in to make sure that you have a precise point on your tracing. Okay. Again, as you see, that's a little curve right there, but we're just going to do a straight line and then come back and edit that with our nodes tool. So select in for our nodes tool, and now we can just drag that curve to meet that point. And then there's a small curve here, and I'm just going to drag that to meet. And I'm going to fix that just a tad bit right there. All right, and so now we already have two pieces traced out and it hasn't even been 10 minutes yet. So we're just gonna quickly move through the rest of the pattern and using just those same tools, your pen tool and your node tool to trace. So I'm gonna start right here on this one. And I'm doing a corset because it's kind of like you have more points and it's more that you have to do so that I can accurately show you guys how I did this. And we're just gonna keep selecting points of our pattern. Okay. And we might have to go back and fix that line, but it's all right because we can just use our node tool. And then there, and then we're just gonna snap back up here. All right, and that's our second piece done. So now we're going to select in for our node tool. We are going to fix this line here into a curve point, and it's actually pretty perfect. Just that quick, and I'm going to leave that. And then we're going to change this one as well, and just drag that down. Now, when I first started doing this, I would try and grab something and drag it, and it wouldn't move. So the way that I check to make sure that I'm on the segment that I want to be, these two nodes lit up when I click that line. So if I click this one, those two nodes light up. If I click this one, those two nodes light up. So this lets me know that I am on this section right here and that I am altering that piece. So I do want to go in a little bit on this section right there. And like that. So we got our next piece traced out. So now we can just go ahead and move on to our other pieces. So the shortcut for our pen tool is the letter B as in boy. And we just want to keep tracing all of our pieces to the best of our ability and go all the way around. Now these ones I probably won't have to do too much like editing with my node tool, except for like right here. I wanted to have that same curve, or I can just use that right there. And then see right here, we just over that outline just a tad bit. And then on this side as well, I want to, okay, I got it selected because I see my blue node down there. All right, and that is pretty much perfect, except for right here. Just out a little bit like that. And you might need to add a node in, and you can just do that by double clicking on the line. So just show y'all, I added a node right there, but I'm going to delete it because I don't want it. All right, so B to open up our pen tool again, and we're just going to trace our middle back pattern and then do our center back and our cups, and we are done with this portion. And then I'm going to show you guys how I put this onto my layout template, my print layout template that I created so that I can print this out at home to fit my printer. I'm just going to fix that, and you can drag nodes to change their position so that you get a more cleaner product. So these lines on the side, I'm just going to move those in a little bit because these pattern pieces, they're not even perfectly squared cut out because I cut them by hand, and sometimes your lines aren't straight. So we got that piece. So now we're just going to do our center back. See, I didn't like how slanted that one was. See, right on that edge. Alright, go down. And we know that this line is 7 inches because we checked it. Just going to go back and connect it. And when you see that little red box, that means that you're creating a closed shape with the previous node. All right, so we're going to do N for our node tool. And this one, I'm just going to do like that a little bit. And then that is our body part of our pattern. So now we could just go ahead and work on our cups. And you can go ahead and there's a text tool here so that you can add like the name of the piece, the name of the pattern, all of the annotations, your notches and all of that stuff. I actually just use this pen tool and make a really dark short line for my notches, and I'll duplicate that and add it to the spots where I need to. So I am tracing this cup as just a triangle because I'm going to go in afterwards with my node tool and convert all of these straight lines into curved lines to match my pattern better. So I just got the most important points so that I can put my curves in between those. So that is the side cup done. Now select in for our node tool, and I'm just going to do this one since I'm already on this one, and we're just going to fix that curve and then zoom out. We're going to fix this curve right here, and that's just our middle point, and we're going to curve it out and then use our handle to get the rest of it where we want it to be. Okay, there we go. And then same for the front curve. Let's make sure that's right. Let's go out a little bit there. Zoom in. I want to come out a little bit here, and that's perfect. So same thing for this part of the cup. We're just going to come up to meet that line. And then we're going to do the same for this one. right, and then our side cup, the side, and the same thing, our handles to move that into position. Go. All right, so we have our cups traced, and we have our entire bodice part traced. So as you can see that we can move this part. And to select all of that, I'm gonna click off, double click, and then drag over whatever you want to select. So now we have our drawing done. We want to go ahead and save this. We can go to File, Save, or we can just hit Control S. And I am going to save this. I already had it saved, but we're going to save that. And it's just going to ask me if I want to overwrite it because I already had one. And so now we're to the point where we can start exporting this. So to get rid of our drawing, we're just going to go to our layers and objects, and then we can just delete that bottom layer, which is our picture. So now all we have is our drawing that we digitized. And so now it's time to get this ready to print. The first thing we're going to do, I already had one of these made, which is just a tiled PDF template. I created one of these. I'll put the link to the video I used in the description box for y'all to make your own. And on here, I just have my logo, my 1x1 box that I put on the first and last page of my printed document so that they can check the size of the box, because some printers print from the back first and some print from the front. So I put it on the back page so that you can check that very first page that prints and make sure that it's the right size or scale. Then I have my size guide. That just helps people pick which size they need based on the colors and the pattern. And then I have my actual template, which is 48 pages that has little notches on the middle of each page, on the sides and the top, so that those can be aligned to make sure that the pattern, when you're taping it together. So I have this grouped by rows, so that if I have a pattern that's smaller than, say, 8 pages or just 4 pages, I can move this out the way and I don't have those bottom dots, bottom diamonds. All right, and then so all of this is on different layers. So on my very bottom layer is my pattern. I put my pattern on that layer so that it's up under my template. And then there is my template layer, which is this, and all of these little things over here. And then I have my cover sheet layer, which is just this sheet right here, which creates my border for my template to go under. So just to show y'all how that works, this is my cover sheet, and this is my template. So what I do is I just drag that into place, and it snaps most of the time. Let's see. Okay, it snapped today. So when I export, this is all that the document will capture. So you want to export by page, and then the only thing that the page will export is what's ever inside this box. So if I add in my logo and my size guide, those that's the only thing that will print here. You can change it to your PDF document and then change your name right here to whatever you want it to be. Um, so we're just going to move that out the way, and we're going to go back because this opened in a different window. So I have two Inkscape windows open right now. And so we are going to bring our pattern in here. So we're going to open back up that window with our digitized pattern. We're just going to drag over everything to select it. I'm going to Control G to group everything together into one object, and then we're going to Control C to copy it. So now back on our template file, we're going to go back to our layers, and we can go ahead and lock the cover sheet layer and lock the template layer. The reason I'm locking that is so that when I am arranging my pattern, since it's on the bottom of the template, I can still select my pattern and move it around without messing with the template. So we're going to click on that layer for our pattern. And while we just have that selected, we're just going to Control V. Oh, I have to unlock it first. Unlock your layer first, and then Control V to paste that pattern on. And so now you can just move that around to get it where you want it to go on the template. I'm going to Shift Control G. Oh, Shift Control G to ungroup all of this. I hit the wrong button. Um, and so now we can just move this around where we want it to be on our template. And since this one is just a test, I'm not going to put the the size guide and my logo on it, just because I want to do a test print and make sure that what I'm putting on this template right here, when I print it out, it matches my paper pattern that I already have. And I usually don't arrange them like this. I'm just doing this for now. I usually try and make sure that there's really nothing on a seam unless I have to. So I wouldn't put that right there because there's a box right there that has to be aligned, and then this one has to be aligned. But we're just doing a test print. So I'm just going to move that up, and then we're going to unlock our template layer so that we can put our 1 inch by 1 inch box. So we can just Control D to get another one, and then just drag that over to where you want it to be. I'm gonna put it like right here, and then I can Control D again and put another one just on this last page. And normally when I'm preparing my patterns for print, I will ungroup and take out this page 7 and 8 so that those are not included. So we're going to Shift Control G, break up our template, and then we're going to just hover over everything that's included. I'm not going to take out page 7 and 8. We're just going to not export those pages. And so we're going to Control G just to group that together and make that one object. And then I'm going to just move these out the way. And we can just move those over there somewhere. And so this is what we have, what we're working with. So now that this is one object, we are going to snap each page into our cover sheet. So just snap that in and zoom in some so I can see it better. Snap. All right, snapped in. And so to see what we're exporting, we're going to go to our little export, or you can push Shift Control E. And this is what is going to be exported when we create this pattern, when we hit export. So I'm going to name this TUT page 1, and we're going to hit export. And then I'm going to get that pop up because I've already done this before and I'm just redoing it. So we're going to name that page 2. As you can see, it's snapped to page 2, and you can see exactly what you're exporting. And then we're going to do page 3. We're just going to drag that into place, and we're going to change the name to page 3. Export, and we're going to go through every page. So if your pattern has 48 pages, you have to do this for 48 pages. Inkscape does have some extensions that like people created that help you do batch exports of PDFs. I haven't found one that I like that really works yet or works for the purpose that I need it to. So I haven't tried that yet. So this is what I do. And I will get every single page. I want this snapped a little bit better. There it is. All right, and so we're going to export page 5. Hit export. You won't get that pop-up that says replace. It will just export it, and you will be able to just drag and go to the next one. So this is our last page. We're not going to export page 7 and 8 because there's nothing on that page. So we're going to change that name to page 6, and we're going to click export. All right, I'm just going to replace it just because. All right, so now all of this has been exported to your folder. And so we're going to open up that folder. And as you can see, we have page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, I know you don't want to print each page separately. So I use a program called Small PDF. And we're going to go to that on Google. And we're going to merge these. So smallpdf.com. And we're going to, when it opens up, you'll come here and then you can just merge, go to merge PDF. And then, so now I'm going to open up this folder and I'm just going to hit control. And I'm going to select every one of these pages like that. And we're just going to drag it into the software. So sometimes it doesn't order your pages right. So we're just going to drag this page 6 down here to the end. So we have page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we're going to hit finish. And that created our document. Now we're going to hit download. I already have one, so it's going to have that one. And we're going to open up. So this is our pattern. I'm going to do the 2-page view so you guys can see. And that is our pattern that we created. And we're going to print this out. And when I did my comparison, I compared these cups to the ones that I created with paper and also that center back, um, just to make sure that everything was perfect. But everything literally matched exactly as I had it on paper. So I can definitely vouch for this method that it does work. So to keep your template as it is, I just exit out and close without saving so that everything will revert back to it was before I started messing around and added my pattern. I'm going to delete those because I don't need all of those. And you have now saved in your folders a file that you can download. You can share it, you can print it yourself, you can send it to other people to use, um, and it's all from a paper pattern that you digitize. So I would like to thank you guys for tuning in for another tutorial and have a great day.